What is cracking, everybody? Welcome back to Boo TV. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your wife. We out here touching on these NBA topics as much as we can. Definitely appreciate you guys for stopping in. All right, you clicked on the thumbnail. You saw what the deal was. Today, we are going to be ranking all of the NBA teams on this here tier list that I have up. So, how I decided to go about this was anything put in the S tier bracket are legitimate championship contenders. Legitimate championship contenders are S tier. A tier are almost championship contenders. Usually those teams that are like one or two, small adjustments, small pieces away from taking them over the top to being a legit championship contender. And it could be so minuscule what that one change could be. Our B tier is our middle of the pack tier. That's basically where most NBA teams don't want to be, is that middle of the road. You really don't get anywhere. It's definitely like being stuck in the mud. You're really not competing for anything, but at the same time, you get nothing for losing because you don't hit the draft lottery hard. Not the best place, but going through growing pains for some franchise, that's the way you have to come up through the middle tier unless you're a big marquee, big franchise, and you can just sign talent quickly and go from the bottom to the top in one summer. All right. Our C tier is basically going to be our play-in teams, generally your 7, 8, 9, 10 seed. And then our D is our definite lotto teams. Who is gunning for that NBA draft? Who wants those draft balls? Who wants them balls? Now, the thing about that, I think it's going to make it hard trying to predict the lottery teams for this upcoming season is because of this ridiculously talented phenom that we have coming out of Europe, Victor Wembanyama. I'm sorry I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Victor Wembanyama, the French Greek, the prodigy that he is. He's going to be such a major game changer, and he's going to be such a talent, which already seems very polished and very good, but it's only going to get better once he gets his feet dipped into the NBA and learns the game more. He's going to be a franchise changer is what I predict. Anything can happen, but based on what I've seen, this guy seems more or less NBA ready for a rookie, and can definitely change the tides for an entire franchise. So I feel like this year we may see some teams that, had this guy not been a prospect, may not have been surefire lock-ins for the lottery. But now, who knows what these owners and GMs are gonna push their franchise towards, with Victor looming over the horizon next summer. So this is going to be definitely an interesting one. All right, appreciate you guys. Let me know in the comment section where you would put these teams in your tier list. Obviously, this is just my opinion, and I am a lifelong Laker fan, but I am unbiased in all of my takes. I call the Lakers out all the time on their bullshit. Right now, they on some bullshit. Anyway, so let's just start with our. We can just go in order, but you know what? First thing I'm going to do. We'll start with the Philadelphia 76ers, since they're the first one in here. We'll just go in order. They have the teams lined up on this list here. Philadelphia, now look, I'm going to have to also look up these rosters because I don't remember every single player. Yeah, I remember the big ones, Harden, Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, et cetera, but I want to make sure I count for everything because I don't always follow all the small moves in the offseason. So I want to make sure I know everybody that's on the roster. But off the top of my head, I want to put Philadelphia in almost contenders. Philadelphia seems like always be one of the favorites. It seems like every year for like the last 4 years, there's a lot of people like, oh, Philly. Oh, man, I'm like in Philly. I'm like in the roster. And I'm just like, I don't, every year it's like I don't see it. I'm not saying that. Yeah, they might win 45, they might win 50, they might win 55, games in the regular season, but I just never ever saw them as a championship contender at any point since 2001 when Allen Iverson was on the franchise. Outside of that, I never took Philadelphia seriously. Like Joel Embiid, but it's going to take more than that, and I've just never trusted the team as a whole and never really believed in them. And the same for this year. I like Tyrese Maxey. He's a hell of a player. He's a lot of energy. He seems to be very consistent in what he can provide for the team, especially with James Harden being up and down, up and down. You can't really rely on James Harden seemingly, for the last year for his scoring prowess like you used to. But as a playmaker, I think James Harden is still solid, efficient. What we say is a down year for James Harden, 27-7, 28-8 would be like most players would die to have a stat line like that. So while his production has dipped, some of that has to do with not being in a Mike D'Antoni offense, obviously, or a quote-unquote Steve Nash offense to a lesser degree. His numbers aren't going to be as phenomenal, but also age and attrition, he doesn't look like the same player he used to be. But with that being said, he's still quality. He's still a damn quality player. With that being said, make no mistake about it. Not what we're used to seeing, but still a damn good player. And I don't even like James. This is coming from a non-James Harden fan, by the way. So, yeah, you got him. You got Embiid. We all know what Embiid is. Had a great season last season. Phenomenal. You got Tyrese Maxey, who's definitely on the up and up, and I think is the spark in offense they need, considering Harden's slight dip. And then, what's that other cat? Tobias Harris, who to me seems fairly inconsistent, but he's at least good for 15 points every single game. Can shoot, can drive it. He's lengthy. So that's their nucleus. That's their forward. Now it looks like they did add Montrezl Harrell to the team. I know Doc Rivers loves Montrezl Harris, so I'm sure he was happy to have Montrez back. High energy. Really goes at it, boards, stuff like that. I'm trying to look. Shake Milton's Matisse Thybulle, great defensive player. PJ Tucker, they have PJ Tucker. He's going to be great. Pitbull, tough, physical. So they have some between him and Thybulle, Trez Harrell, who's not really a defensive player, but he can get physical, and Joel Embiid. They could bring a little bit of physicality. I can't say for the rest of the players, but yeah, they're still gonna have to go with almost contenders for me. I don't believe in them. I think they'll just be always knocking on that second round, third round door, but never get into the finals. Is where I'm putting Philadelphia, but I could be wrong. The Washington Wizards. Bradley Beal. What's that? That fool from the. Can't believe I'm forgetting his name as a Laker fan. Light skinned boy. Dude, this is bad because I before I moved to Japan, I've been living in Washington D.C. I can't believe I forget his full name. Kyle Kuzma. Yeah, so not a big fan of Kyle Kuzma. I was with the Lakers before LeBron came, but I haven't really. He's somewhat inconsistent. Love Bradley Beal. I think Bradley Beal is a phenomenal player. Nothing bad to say. I think Bradley Beal is very underrated. Underrated. And you may agree or disagree with me. I think Bradley Beal is better than Devin Booker. Have at it in the comment section. Let me know what you think about that one. But they did also sign Kristaps Porzingis, I think. Actually, he's been on the squad, right? Yeah, I think I'm not sure, but they have Porzingis is on the squad now. Most of the stuff, I'm just trying to go on assuming players are going to be somewhat healthy. And that's kind of how I'm going with this. For the most part, I can't predict players' health, with the exception of Anthony Davis, because he is a surefire candidate for you're going to be missing series time this season. So yeah, he's the only guy that's I'm not giving the benefit of the doubt for maybe having some good health. Yeah, I'm looking at, they got Taj Gibson. He's old. They signed Will Barton. Will Barton is dope. I like Will Barton's game. He's aggressive. He's an offensive player, but overall, I'm not liking their roster. Rui will be back. I think he missed some serious time. Oh, and they got Monte Morris. So they got some decent players over there in Washington, but I would have to imagine that. Were they in the play-in? I don't think they were in the play-in last year. I don't think they were. Either way, I'm calling them a definite lottery team. Sorry, that's not enough makeup there for me to say maybe a play. Because the play-in is what? 7, 8, and 9, right? 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm bordering on play-in and lotto for Washington, but I don't think Will Barton, Bradley Beal, and Kyle Kuzma are gonna get it done. Sorry, I got them in the lotto, and if they were smart, they would go for the lottery too and try to get their hands on Victor coming in. The Atlanta Hawks. This is a tough one. Trae Young is going to be better. And then they picked up old boy from San Antonio, DeJounte, and they could wreak havoc. Him and Trae Young. They still have. Oh, wait a second. Did they get rid of that boy? Did they get? No, I don't. No, I'm thinking of somebody else. John Collins. No, I'm thinking of somebody else. I forgot. What am I thinking of? I can't remember. Anyway, they had a decent season last season. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray. I love John Collins' game. Very athletic, high energy. Really, really goes for it in the paint, man. I love his game. Roster. Aaron Holiday and Justin Holiday. I actually like both of those as players. Usually pick them in my lottery teams. Clint Capella and Bogdan Bogdanovic. They got a solid squad, and that's another franchise that I do expect to get better. But I'm trying to figure out. I'm gonna have to put Atlanta Hawks middle of the pack. I think they're still quite a bit of ways from being serious contenders. I think if they were to maybe sign, maybe a player that's top 10, that could put them over. But I'm going to go with Atlanta Hawks, middle of the pack. Not quite even almost contenders. Sorry to say it. I think they'll probably be a second round exit in the playoffs. But probably good for 50 wins. 45-50 wins for sure. Cleveland Cavaliers. This is one it's kind of, they had a great season last year. The Cavs, but obviously we all know about the signing of Spida to the franchise. Donovan Mitchell. Man, I definitely think he's going to help that team out. Definitely think Donovan's going to help the team out, but depending on who you ask, they may say Donovan Mitchell is overrated or underrated. I think he's probably a little bit overrated, especially after that Denver Nuggets season, or these especially against the series versus the Denver Nuggets in the bubble, where him and Murray were just lighting it up, and I had high hopes for both of them after that. I was like, okay, I like what I see. Are you guys going to, now that we see what you're capable of, are you going to pin down on this and show this level of play, more or less this level of play? I'm not saying dropping 50, 45 every night, 40, but, a consistent high level of play where people might thrust you into the conversation for being a top 10 player, right? But never happened with Donovan Mitchell. When I saw Donovan Mitchell, I was like, this dude reminds me of Dwayne Wade, absent of the defense. Definitely doesn't have the Dwayne Wade defense. But in many ways, offensively, he reminded me of a slightly smaller D Wade. And I just haven't seen him really take a really next, big step forward into thrusting himself into the conversation with the really great players that we have in this league today. But I definitely do think Spida is going to help the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have a young squad with a lot of talent, and they've, over the last 2 years, they've really been building some camaraderie and continuity and cohesion. And they still have Kevin Love, which is going to be a great veteran locker room presence that can still play, albeit not at the level that he used to be in his prime, but, still hustle, still a good locker room presence, and give you a solid 20-something minutes or so a game, and, can stretch the floor and hit the three. But I have to see them play more. I think they'll probably be good for like 50, 55 wins. I think they'll be an extremely dangerous team, but probably still too young. And I definitely, Spida should help with that. But I have to see Spida, take that next step into being a more elite player. So I'm going middle of the pack with the Cavaliers. Detroit Pistons, I don't even have to look at their roster. Lottery. They do got that young cat, that rookie, who is not shy about shooting. Definitely gets up a whole bunch of shots. Did he get Rookie of the Year last year? Who's Rookie of the Year? Who's Rookie of the Year? Who's Rookie of the Year last year? It's gonna bother me. I can't remember. What is that player's name, though? Let me see. Let me look at the roster. I can't believe it. They got Marvin Bagley, Sadiq Bey. I like him. They got Bogey. Cade Cunningham. Yeah. Cade Cunningham. That's right. Cade Cunningham. Young team. Very young team. The veterans that they have are pretty washed up. So, yeah, definitely Lotto team. The Indiana Pacers. One of my best friends is a hardcore Pacers fan. They made some moves last season that really shook up their roster. And now they do have Tyrese Halliburton for a full season moving forward. And they have Buddy Hield. I like TJ McConnell coming off the bench. I think he's a really good point guard, and given more minutes, TJ is actually pretty damn effective. And they still have Miles Turner, but there's a whole lot of trade rumors coming around with Miles. But even Miles Turner, I feel like he's still only 26 years old, but I feel like he's been in the league so much longer. So when I heard, when his name was getting thrusted around for the Lakers trade, I was like, Miles Turner is still only 26? I felt like the dude was like 30. But no, he's still really young. But I think Miles Turner in some ways has had some pretty disappointing moments, because even when he was like his first or second year, third year, it was like, oh, this guy's good, we'll take the next step. It's all about taking the next step. A lot of players really just don't. But he did add the 3-point shot to his game for stretching the floor. But I don't see, even with Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton, I'm still gonna have to put Indiana in a lotto team. If they still had Sabonis Jr., I think I'd put him in for a play-in. But I don't. I'm not really feeling the roster as a whole what they have now. Milwaukee Bucks. What are we talking about here? Championship contenders. Kidding me? You kidding me? What are we talking about here? I think the Milwaukee Bucks have done a great job since their championship season with filling in gaps in the roster when they would lose key players that really helped them, achieve that championship. And as long as you have Giannis Antetokounmpo paired up with Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, you are a championship contender. And you find a couple guys that play defense, some 3-and-D guys. Giannis will take you far. Giannis will take you far, take you to the promised land. So let me see who they added. They still got Pat Connaughton, George Hill, Serge Ibaka. Still got Brook Lopez, Wesley Matthews. Still got Bobby Portis. Grayson Allen. They still got Giannis's brother, Javon Carter. I think he has some defense. And they got Joe Ingles. Holy crap, I didn't know they had Joe Ingles. I love Joe. I think Joe Ingles is so underrated. Joe Ingles could be a starter. Like, he can shoot. He can do a lot with the basketball. He can play point guard and shooting guard. He's a very high IQ basketball player. I think Joe Ingles is going to be great for the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, at first, I was kind of looking at their supporting cast, and I was like, I don't know about some of these players. But then I saw Joe Ingles, and I was like, well, all right, they'll have a solid squad here. Grayson Allen is good for minutes. So is obviously Giannis. They're big three. Not a super team, but you know what I mean. Javon Carter will be great off the bench. George Hill still can play, veteran. Serge still can play, veteran. Joe Ingles can really play. Wesley Matthews can still play, veteran. Bobby Portis. So, yeah, they'll be all right. And bring on the talent that they have along with them. So, still like their roster. Do I like it better than their championship roster? No, but they'll still be good. The Toronto Raptors. Did they retain? The thing about the Raptors is, I'm not going to call them a lottery team by any means. If they still got Fred VanVleet, I would say that, because that dude, he does ball out most games. They still got Precious, still got a newbie. I know I said his name wrong. All right, they still got Boucher, probably said his name wrong. Otto Porter Jr., Pascal Siakam still, Gary Trent Jr., good friendly. I like them, but I'm going to put them as a playing team. I do like their roster, but they're definitely still missing quite a bit. But between Fred VanVleet, Siakam, Otto Porter Jr. is actually pretty solid. I think he's underrated. Precious and OG and Chris, I think that's a strong enough squad to get him into the play-in tournament, no question. Dallas Mavericks. Almost contenders. Dallas is absolutely almost contenders. I knew that old boy was going to leave Dallas and sign with New York. So I think that was definitely a major loss for them. I think he was a great counterpart or great fit next to Luka. But they're missing something, man. They're missing a real good second option. If they can get a real good it ain't even got to be like top 10 player. Just a really solid, consistent second option for Luka. They could be a championship contender. They could be. Now, that could be Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie could step up and be that second option to Luka. But I don't know if Spencer Dinwiddie has ever been the same since he had that major injury on... Was it him that had the major injury on Brooklyn? I'm not... Or was it Karis LeVert? Or did they both have one? Can't remember. But I could be wrong there. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a player that I just feels like he's stuck in the mud. He's just been the same player for the last couple of years, in my opinion. So looking at their roster, they got Bertans. He's pretty good. Reggie Bullock's all right. Dorian Finney-Smith. He's just consistently a role player. Can get hot from time to time, like Tim Hardaway. Maxi Kleber. He's all right. JaVale McGee would be good for rebounds and blocking shots. I don't know how often they're going to play him between him and Dwight Powell. And that's right. The big signing was Christian Wood. That's the player I was thinking of. It wasn't Collins on the Atlanta Hawks. It was Christian Wood from the Houston Rockets. That was a good pickup for them. That was a very good pickup for them, was Christian Wood. I like him as a player. I like his energy. I like how he gets down there and not afraid to be in the paint. Ain't afraid to go up strong with the basketball. And he can really be a monster on the boards. Can be. I can't wait to see him actually in this role. What was his... he's guaranteed 10 boards a game. At least. Yeah, but they're going to have to go... They're still missing something. Christian Wood paired with Luka, I don't think, and the current supporting cast that they have is going to be enough. I think they still just need one more piece. One more. So if Christian Wood is going to be that second guy, and he can be. I think he can be. I think he should get his points up to maybe about 23 points per game, keep the 10 boards. He could be a great second option. But they still need a third. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be a top 10, just someone really solid. Really solid. I'm trying to think like an example of the kind of player that would be. I don't know, maybe like a Klay Thompson. You know, just like somebody that can play some defense and, you know, you can really trust to make big baskets and make baskets and really plays the role well. Like a Klay. And I'm talking like a post-injury Klay, not prime Klay, like current Klay we have now. It's not as good as him before his injuries, but that's really all you need, man. It's really all you need. Because they got the point guard or the point forward, whatever you want to call him. You got Christian Wood. Now, if like I said, if Tim Hardaway Jr. could step up his game and be more consistent, then maybe I might throw them in the championship contenders later on. But for right now, almost contenders. All right, the Denver Nuggets. Well, now that they have Jamal Murray back, I'd say I'm teetering between almost contenders and middle of the pack. But when I look at how far Joker carried that team by himself and the beastly numbers he was putting up as an unathletic, slow player, but can play point guard at center. Oh, on Joker's power alone and the resurgence of Jamal Murray and the resurgence of Michael Porter Jr. is now back and healthy, I'm going to have to throw them into the almost contenders category. Almost championship contenders. Porter Jr. Porter Jr. Jamal Joker, that's a solid three-headed nucleus. And their surrounding pieces are decent. All right, ones of noteworthy players. Bruce Brown, excuse me. Taking it back years. Bruce Brown, I love Bruce Brown as a player. I'm mad Brooklyn got rid of him. He was one of their most consistent players in Brooklyn. Played defense, had the most ridiculous slash off the ball catch, throw up the floater, like almost always went in. Big mistake by Brooklyn not re-signing him. So they have Bruce Brown, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, DeAndre Jordan ain't shit anymore, and Ish Smith. I like those noteworthy names of players around him. So I'm going to say almost contenders, and maybe they're just missing one really solid role player to complement their nucleus. Somebody off the bench that could really give them what they need. Yeah. So I think they're just one player away. I couldn't tell you who that player is. The Memphis Grizzlies. Ooh. This is another one where I'm teetering between championship contenders and almost contenders. When you look at how far they got last year in the playoffs, and then Ja Morant got hurt. I gotta. They're gonna be a top regular season team once again. The grindhouse is for real. But I'm going to put them as almost contenders. I don't have any reason to think that Ja won't be healthy most of the season and going into the playoffs. But like I said, I'm giving health to most people except Anthony Davis. Excuse me. But yeah, they retain most of their core. They got an amazing young core there. Some tough young talent pit bulls. Get down and dirty on the defense. Can really shoot the ball well and get to the paint. Athletic. I'm just gonna have to put them at almost contenders. They're probably good for a conference finals showing. Minnesota Timberwolves. They added I can't believe I forget his player's name because I absolutely can't stand this guy. Actually, Rudy Gobert. I can't stand Rudy Gobert and I can't stand Karl Anthony Towns, and now they're both playing together on the same team. But I do like Ant. I really like him as a player, bro. Like, he reminds me of Zion, except probably not as good as a passer as Zion, but much more healthier than Zion is. But Ant Edwards, man, that dude, he can play, man. He is. Make no mistake about it. Like, people want to act like Cat or Rudy Gobert is better than Ant. No. I think he's the best player on that team and is going to be the focal point moving forward is Ant Edwards. Let's see who else they got on that squad. Kyle Anderson, he's solid. Forbes, I think, is all right. So far, nothing else. Taurean Prince is all right. And they still got D'Lo? Ooh, Ant Edwards, D'Lo, Cat, and Rudy Gobert. Still not a believer. I'm putting them middle of the pack. They have 4 solid names. Edwards, Gobert, Cat, and D'Lo, who's probably on the decline. I think D'Lo's best years are behind him. They should have D'Lo coming off the bench, really. I would. Have him run the second unit. But I'm going to just call them middle of the pack in the Western Conference. Probably a 5 or 6 seed. Maybe 4 if they hit their potential. But there's not enough there, and I don't think Cat is necessarily a great leader. I don't think Rudy Gobert is a great leader, and Edwards can be, but I still think he's very young. But an exceptional talent. So yeah. I'm going middle of the pack. I think at best they can grab a fourth seed at best, but probably unlikely. San Antonio Spurs roster. I really hope that they don't get the number 1 pick in the draft. I would hate to see Wembanyama go to the Spurs and then Greg Popovich turn him into some kind of zombie that halts his potential as far as seeing this guy really, put up big numbers. I don't want Popovich to stunt on all the potential we could see with him by just letting him loose and being a monster. So, Popovich, I'm putting you in. God, I'm looking at their squad, though. Golly, this team is trash. Listen to this roster for the San Antonio Spurs. Dominic Barlow, Keita Bates-Diop, Malachi Branham, Zach Collins, Gorgie Deng, Jordan Hall, Elise Johnson, Keldon Johnson, Trey Jones, Romeo Langford, Doug McDermott, Jacob Poeltl, Joshua Primo, Josh Richardson, Isaiah Roby, Jeremy Sochan, Devin Vassell, Blake Wesley, Joe. Oh my God. Dude, what was their... They were a playing team last year, weren't they? What was their... Let me see. Weren't they? Let me see. What are we in? 2021 NBA standings. No, we're going to say 2022 then. No. Yeah, they made it to the play-in tournament. I thought they were. Did they have the same roster though? Yeah, they more or less had the same roster unless they just updated this. Let me see. 2022 Spurs. God, this... Oh. I mean, that's not... But then again, being a playing team isn't saying a lot because you can make the play-in as a 10th seed. But I think Pop is good enough to get him into at least the 10th seed to get into the play-in. So, Spurs are going back to the play-in. Congratulations. Utah Jazz. Well, they lost Spida. They lost Rudy Gobert. Who is on their roster now? Who is on their roster now? God, I don't even know. I'm sure they still got... Well, so they did... So wait. No, because it was a straight-up trade with the Cavaliers. So that means they got Colin Sexton. Jordan Clarkson should still be on the team. I saw Bogdanovich is gone. Jordan Clarkson probably still got... What's the point guard name? Used to be on Michael Conley. But that's got to be the biggest names on the roster, right? Those three guys. Malik Beasley, Rudy Gay still there, Vanderbilt. Oh, Talen Horton-Tucker. He'll be good. But sorry, you guys are a play-in team, Utah Jazz. Sorry. I think Talen Horton-Tucker could potentially have a really big year. I'm assuming he's going to be a starter. I'm along with Colin Sexton, and I'm assuming they're going to want to keep Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. But yeah. The Los Angeles Clippers. This is undoubtedly, to me, I don't care about what happened in the bubble. Bubble was all weird. Bubble was like the Twilight Zone, right? But last year, even before last year, the year Kawhi Leonard got injured in the playoffs against the Mavericks, against the Utah Jazz, and when you think about it, after Kawhi went down, I bet everybody thought the Utah Jazz were just going to win that series. And then Tyronn Lue showed again and again and again how amazing of a coach he is with his goddamn rotations are fucking genius. Tyronn Lue showed that I can coach and I still have Paul George, and despite all the jokes and banter going on, I'm going to remind you why he did call himself Playoff P and why he is a top player in this league. And I'm going to galvanize all my other guys that's been great this whole year, but people don't talk about, but y'all going to start talking about them now. The Reggie Jacksons, right? And I'm going to show you how I can use all my players and all my tools on my bench and be a team and beat you guys healthy. And they did that. And they really gave the Phoenix Suns a run for their money. And while that last game, that closeout game, wasn't close, all the games before that were actually pretty damn close. And don't forget, Phoenix won on a buzzer beater, one of those games, which I called that. I was like, they're going to throw a lob. They're going to throw a lob. They're going to throw a lob to DeAndre Jordan. Just pack the paint. Pack the paint. Nope, they ran a lob. And then there's another game. I don't know if that was the same game, but the one where Paul George started going nuts. Paul George was going nuts. And ended up losing by a slim margin. Had Kawhi Leonard not went down, I have no doubt in my mind that the Clippers would have beat the Milwaukee Bucks and won the championship that year. I have not a doubt in my mind. I think it would have won 7 games, 7 games for sure, 7 games. But there's no doubt in my mind, and Giannis Antetokounmpo is my favorite player. I was at the game when the Bucks won the championship. I was there in Milwaukee rooting them on. I think the Clippers would have beat them. I think they would have beat the Suns. I think they would have beat the Bucks. And then last year, no Kawhi Leonard the whole season. Paul George missed a significant amount of time. And Tyronn Lue had all those role players balling their ass off as a whole unit. And made it into the play-in as, I think, a 7th seed, right? 7 or 8 they were. And then they lose their first game to the Timberwolves, so they get a second chance to make the play-in. And then Paul George gets COVID and he can't play. That's how their season went down. It was sad to see, considering how much they overachieved by a ridiculous amount of overachievement. And to see them go down like that, they had a great story last season. And for Paul George to get COVID on the make or break game to get him into the playoffs, that sucked. But Kawhi Leonard is healthy. Paul George is healthy. They signed John Wall. I don't even care if it's not, John Wall is outside of his prime and not the same John Wall. John Wall, even at 75% of what he was, is still a damn good player. And thing is, he's not going to have to carry the franchise on his shoulder. That's what Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are there for. So he's going to be playing, the third option on the team around what, in my opinion, I think the Los Angeles Clippers are hands down the deepest team in the league. Their roster is stupid deep. And while some people might think it's disrespectful of me to not automatically say, well, the Warriors are the defending champions, so you got to go with them to run it back. No, I don't. I think the Clippers, healthy, are a far. Listen to this roster that the Clippers have. They still have Nicholas Batum, solid veteran 3-and-D guy. Brandon Boston Jr., don't know who that is. Moses Brown, Amir Coffey, he's a decent player. Robert Covington, solid 3D slasher. He does everything. I'm gonna go over the notable characters, notable players. Paul George, of course, Rodney Hood, Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard, Kawhi Leonard, Terrence Mann, Javier Moon, Marcus Moore Sr., Norman Powell coming off the goddamn bench. They still got Big Zoo, John Wall. Dude, what? This team is so deep, dog. This team is so deep. Reggie Jackson could be a starter for most. Reggie Jackson is nasty. I love Reggie Jackson's demeanor in this game. And you got Reggie Jackson coming off the bench for John Wall. What are we talking about? Hey, good luck beating this team. Clippers, championship contenders. Phoenix Suns. I think their only opportunity was that year that they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. People were like, oh, well. And then they had a really good regular season last year, right? 60-something wins, if I'm not mistaken. But I think after that championship year, I think their window is only getting smaller and smaller. Actually, I don't even think the window exists anymore. Could they still be good for, 50, 55 wins? Yeah, probably. But don't forget, Chris Paul ain't a young stud anymore, and he's only getting older. He's only getting older. He's not going to be able to play as many minutes and sacrifice his body as much as he did maybe 2 years ago. They re-signed DeAndre Ayton, which was big for them. They got Bismack Biyombo. They got Devin Booker. They got Mikal Bridges. They still got Jay Crowder, Torrey Craig. Still got Cameron Johnson. CP3, Cameron Payne still there. So they still have a lot of the players that Dario Saric. They still got a lot of players that made them successful. But the big thing is, for me with the Suns, Chris Paul, like I said, only getting older. He's going to be less productive. But still an integral part of the team, leader, facilitator. Devin Booker, I have to see Devin Booker take the next step. I do. He needs to, if he's not a top 10 player to me, I want to see Devin Booker go, go put it all out on the floor every night. Be aggressive every single night. You should be Devin Booker. You should be averaging at least 30 plus a game. If they are who you say you are. If they are who you say you are. You gotta help Chris Paul out, bro. Take the next step, D-Book. Make me believe in you, because I absolutely do not. So I definitely do not have the Phoenix Suns as championship contenders. Hell no. And, I only think the only reason they got in that 1 year is because of injury. They would have lost to the Clippers to me. Had Kawhi been in there. So I don't. People might get mad at me if I put them in middle of the pack. But I think they're, I'm just not sold on the squad, man. So who we got in the West? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Bro, I'm going to have to go. Even though they're coming off like a 60-win season. I got to see more from Devin Booker. I'm putting him middle of the pack. People might burn me for that one. Phoenix is going to hate me for that one, but I think they need another piece, and I think Devin Booker needs to step up and take more responsibility as a leader and up his points per game, be more aggressive on the offense, and work on his playmaking skills. But you still got Chris Paul. But I think they need another player, and I think D-Book needs to step his game up. They might be good for like a 4th seed this year. Not saying that could very well warrant 50 wins, but I'm not taking them seriously. I think the Clippers are going to be better. I think the Mavericks are going to be better. I think the Nuggets are going to be better. I think the Memphis Grizzlies are going to be better than them. I think the Warriors are going to be better than them. That's 5 teams that I have better than the Phoenix Suns already. Clippers, Denver, Mavericks, Memphis, Warriors. Sorry, middle of the pack. Portland Trail Blazers. Damian Lillard is back. But he ain't. Damian Lillard is back. And what does that mean, right? What does that mean? Oh, shit. Who else is on this? I don't even know. They got Eubanks. They got Jeremy Grant. He's solid. Lillard. Nurkic. Gary Payton Jr. is the second sign with him. Okay. Interesting. Not a whole lot there. Justice Winslow, Anthony Simon. So actually, I'm actually really interested to see how, with Damian Lillard coming back, how the Anthony Simons, Damian Lillard tandem is going to work, because Simons really took over that team when Damian Lillard went out with the injury and was actually pretty effing phenomenal. But I'm gonna have to put Portland in for the play-in. I think Lillard is good enough to get him into the play-in. Sacramento Kings now have a new head coach, Mike Brown, I believe. Still got a bunch of young players over there, but they are definitely a lottery team. Let's make no mistake about it. Not even looking up their roster. They're a lottery team. Sacramento Kings seemingly will always be a lottery. Well, they do have Sabonis, right? Even still. Let me see. I lied. I'm going to look up their roster. I lied. I think they do have Sabonis. Harrison Barnes, Kent Bazemore, Quinn Cook, Matthew Dellavedova is still playing. I didn't even know Dellavedova was still playing. Still got De'Aaron Fox, got Holmes, Kevin Huerter. Okay, I like him. And they got DeMontis Sabonis. They still got Sabonis. Whew. Barnes, De'Aaron Fox, Huerter, Holmes. Yeah, I'm gonna keep them in the lottery. I like Sabonis and I like De'Aaron, but that's a lottery team. The New York Knicks. So they still got their core. They took a step back last year. I was actually disappointed. After that one season they had, and then they definitely took a step back. But they did sign Jalen Brunson, and they still got Julius Randle. RJ Barrett's still there. Who else do they have? Let's see. Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish, Derrick Rose still there. Still got Obi Toppin. Knickerbockers. What am I going to do with you guys? I'm leaning towards middle of the pack and play in. I'm gonna have to go play in tournament for the New York Knicks, because I'm looking at the middle of the pack teams, and it's also respective to conference, but I don't think they're on the Suns level. I don't think they're on the Timberwolves, Cavaliers, or Hawks level. They're definitely a playing team. New Orleans Pelicans. This is going to be an interesting one. They're going to be a very dangerous team now that Zion Williamson is back. Expecting him to stay healthy. They still got they got CJ, and they still got Brandon Ingram. And some other young players on that team. That one boy that's very disruptive, I can't remember his name. I don't know what he is, black, but he looked Puerto Rican. Was that Jose Alvarado? I can't remember. They got a young team, but outside of the names that I just mentioned, and Larry Nance Jr., they don't have a whole lot of depth with this roster. They're very young, but not a whole lot of depth. And they're going to be fun to watch play, and I think they're going to be potentially very dangerous. But let's see. What do we go? I got the Pelicans as a play-in team, but a very dangerous play-in team. I think they're good. They made the play-in last year without Zion, so I think they'll be good for like a 7th seed. Because let me see. In the West, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, We still got the Warriors. Yeah, I think they're gonna be. I think they're gonna be a playing team. The Charlotte Hornets. I really like what Buzz City is doing. I really love LaMelo Ball's game. He's fantastic, and he's only going to get better. Outside of defense, obviously not. He's not very good. He's not a liability on defense, but he's not a very good defender. Average at best. But LaMelo really put that team on his back last season, and he wasn't the only player. I'm not going to sit here and act like it was all LaMelo. They had old boy that haven't heard his name mentioned yet since he beat his girlfriend up. What's that nigga's name? They've been really hush hush about him too. It's been really weird how they didn't go after Miles Bridges. They didn't go after him because I was like, dude, he beat the hell out of that girl, and then they tried to downplay it on ESPN and swept it under the rug. But it is what it is. But anyway, they got LaMelo. Liangelo, at best, might be a rotational bench player, but right now he's looking like garbage time player. They still have Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre Jr., Mason Plumlee. Still got Scary Terry, PJ Washington. I think they'll be better than they were last year in that Eastern Conference. Let's see. We got. I got them. I'm going to put them middle of the pack. On the playmaking skills of LaMelo alone, I think it's going to get better. I think the team's going to get better because they were creating some noise last year. Put the middle of the pack. I think they're good for like maybe a 6th seed in the East. Houston Rockets, lottery team. Miami Heat. I think it's fair to say that Miami would be almost contenders. I don't know what kind of acquisitions they made in the offseason. Let me see what their roster looks like now. I mean, obviously, I'm sure Bam is still there. Jimmy's still there. I know they re-signed Tyler Hero. I don't know what they're doing. I will get rid of Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson has been such a disappointment since the NBA Finals in the bubble. Like, he's been, people before that Finals series in the bubble, people are like, oh, this guy might be the next Klay Thompson, similar without the defense, but as far as just being a shooter, but his shooting has been garbage since that championship round in the bubbles. Like, every time I watch the dude, he's clanking threes, dog. And I'm just like, and I noticed that his minutes went down last season, so he's been a disappointment. I would get rid of what's his name? Oh, is he still on the team? Let me see. No, they got. Oh no, he's still there. Duncan Robinson's still there. I was like, oh, they got rid of him. No, he's still there. So yeah, they still got Bam, still got Jimmy. Udonis Haslem is back. This new guy, Nikola Jovic, that I hear is raising some noise, so we'll see what that's all about. Still got Laurie, he's getting old. Victor Oladipo will be back and strong this season. Yep, they're still almost contenders. I have no reason to think why they wouldn't be, and they're excellently coached. It took a while for Coach Spo to get my respect, but he got my respect a few years ago. Good coach there. They'll be all right. Chicago Bulls. I'm going to have to put Chicago as middle of the pack. I don't think DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball is enough. And I heard Lonzo Ball starting out the season injured, and it's not looking good for Lonzo. Yeah, I think the Bulls are definitely missing maybe two quality pieces. I think to put them, into a championship contender. I mean, so they still got Caruso. Like I said, DeMar, Lonzo. Granted, he's healthy. Andre Drummond will be good. We'll see how they use him in this. When teams go small ball, are they going to keep him out there and punish him or what? Or are they going to take him out the game? Still got Vucevic. That's tough, man. That's tough. They could be. Nah, man. I'm gonna put them at the middle of the pack. I think at best they're probably good for 4th or 5th seed in the East. I don't think they're better than Milwaukee. Don't think they're better than the 76ers. Don't think they're better than Brooklyn. Don't think they're at best 4 or 5 seed for the Bulls. Brooklyn, I am teetering. I am teetering between championship contenders and almost contenders. And I know people are now saying, how the hell could you put the Brooklyn Nets as championship contenders given how they went out last season? They literally got swept. They got swept by the Boston Celtics. And I say to you this. That is a good point. They got swept in the first round to the Boston Celtics. But it's also... I should also point out that the Boston Celtics obviously are a championship contending team. They were in the finals last season. And while they did get swept, the vast majority of those games were close in the fourth quarter. So it's not like they got swept and was getting smacked by 10, 15, 20 points every game. Had 1, 2, or 3 plays went the other way, that could have been Brooklyn 4-1. In fact, game 1, the complete meltdown on the defensive end. However, as much as I'm actually rooting for the Brooklyn Nets because I'm a fan of Kevin Durant and I like Kyrie Irving and I don't like Ben Simmons, but I would like to see all 3 of them mesh together. I think the sky's the potential. They have a lot of potential, but I'm going to have to put Brooklyn at almost contenders because I have to see more of Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving on the floor together. And I got to see Steve Nash do a better job at coaching. My biggest concern with the Brooklyn Nets, honestly, isn't even Ben Simmons, KD, or Kyrie and how they mesh. It's actually Steve Nash as a coach. He is bogus on his rotations. He is bogus on his decision making. He is bogus on using timeouts. I don't know how this guy still has a job after that Milwaukee series. Because I think they should have won that Milwaukee series. They lost in 7. And Nash was throwing out some crazy ass rotations in game 6 and 7. And I'm like, dog, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm not even going to get into it. So you're almost contenders, and I don't trust Steve Nash. Oklahoma City Thunder, lottery team. Golden State Warriors, obviously. We're going to have to put GSW as championship contenders. The rightful owners to the throne, the defending champions Golden State Warriors, led by Stephen Curry, Wardell Curry, the chef. I'm not even a Steph Curry fan, but I pay niggas respect when respect is due, right? When respect is due, I give respect. Obviously, the Warriors are going to be right there in the mix. They lost some key components, but they lost, Gary Payton. They lost Otto Porter. They lost Toscano Juan Anderson. I hope I said his name right. Juan Toscano Anderson. But, they got DiVincenzo, Jordan Poole is only getting better. Kuminga's taking the next step. They got Wiseman back. The only black cloud hanging over the Warriors is this Draymond Green situation. And while I think for the veterans on the team, it's nothing for them to move on and play, it's the young guys that I'm worried about. And I think Poole probably be okay. Like, I saw him play earlier, like yesterday, and he was fine. Like, he actually put on a little bit of a show, if you want to call it that. But it's the post-game and the pre-game conferences and question sessions with the reporters, and they're constantly bringing Draymond up, bringing the whole situation up. I'm sure the young cats ain't mentally built for that. So I don't know, but still, they're going to be in the mix, and they're going to be championship contenders, regardless that what happens to Draymond if he plays one more season, or they trade him, or whatever the case may be. He comes back and everything's fine. I don't know, but regardless, championship contenders for sure. Golden State Warriors. The defending Eastern Conference champion, Boston Celtics, again, another team with a black cloud looming over their head. It's weird. Our two finals contenders from last season have black clouds hanging off of their franchise, with key components involved in drama, i.e. being Draymond Green, and then being Ime Udoka, who won't be there. Well, at least for the Celtics, Ime Udoka won't even be in the building. So they're just going to have to deal with the questions and the reporters and all that other bullshit. But he won't even be in the building, right? So the assistant coach, from what I heard, is taking over. But still, a little bit of drama involved with the Boston Celtics this summer. But I expect them to be even better than they were last year. They added, actually, they added Malcolm Brogdon. Huge pickup. Malcolm Brogdon is so underrated. He's one of my favorite players. So underrated, dude. So can score the ball, can dribble, can pass, can rebound, can play D. Michael Brogdon is legit. And I never wanted him to leave the Bucks. That was a major upgrade for the Celtics, and it is an upgrade that they needed at the point guard position. Major pickup for them. And they got Blake Griffin, whatever with Blake. If you utilize Blake properly, he can be effective. I don't think Steve Nash utilized Blake Griffin properly or enough. Orlando Magic, definitely. They should be going for Victor. I'll move back to Florida for that. And then, of course, last but not least, the most controversial franchise most seasons, especially since LeBron James came onto the franchise, and even more so when they added Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis into the franchise, the most talked about and polarizing franchise. So with the Lakers, I'm teetering between middle of the pack and play-in. Now, they were good enough to make the play-in last year, only winning 30-something fucking games. You kidding me? Garbage. So, I don't think their season is going to be worse than last season. I think they'll have a better season than they had last year. I still don't think it'll be anything to get excited about. But given that they made the play-in tournament but couldn't grab a seed, put it that way. They made the tournament but couldn't grab a seed. I would expect them to at least make the tournament again. But I'm trying to see if I want to. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think the Lakers are going back to the play-in tournament. They're gonna have to show me something, man. They're gonna have to show me something. They're gonna have to show me something. They added some more players, and like I said, I am not giving Anthony Davis the benefit of health like I'm giving all these other players. He's just so ridiculously hurt. You can literally just tap him on the shoulder like, "Hey, Anthony Davis, how was your day?" And you've literally broke his shoulder. You can't even blow Anthony Davis a kiss without it fracturing his face. You can't even blow this nigga a kiss without a like, that's how fragile his level of fragileness. I don't even know if that's a word. But it's just on another level. Like, the dude has literally made it. Mr. Glass. He is the superhero Mr. Glass, except not nearly as cool. I don't trust Anthony Davis, man. He's unaggressive. He's coy. He's shy. He doesn't want to play big. He wants to shoot jumpers. shooting less than 20% from three-point land, but nobody talks about it. It's like this guy literally gets... he makes me sick. And then how are they going to properly utilize Russell Westbrook? Using Russell Westbrook as a spot-up shooter is not using a player to... like, whoever thought bringing Russ to the Lakers was a good idea, you're a fucking idiot. What made you think LeBron and Russ would be a good fit when they both need the ball in their hands? So now what's going to happen is you're going to make Russell Westbrook look bad because you're putting him in a position that does not cater to his strengths, which is coming off the ball a lot. Like, why are you using Westbrook like you would Klay Thompson? It doesn't make any fucking sense. If anything, being that LeBron James is a better shooter than Russell, it makes more sense to LeBron to come more off the ball, let Russ handle the ball, and have Bron come off and be more of a scorer or a shooter. And just let Russ do more point guard stuff, slash and pass, pick and roll. They barely run Russell Westbrook is a great pick and roll player. I've seen him run it all day with Aquaman, with Jason Momoa. And they hardly use it with him and AD or anybody. You could do a lot of pick and roll with LeBron and Russ. I don't get it. There was just a lot of bad decision making on how they were utilizing Russell Westbrook. I think they really put him in a position to fail. You know, how could you expect someone that's never been a great shooter to all of a sudden just become a good shooter and then get mad at it? Don't make no sense. So, I think they need to get rid of Russell Westbrook if you're not going to utilize him properly. They're not going to get rid of LeBron. We know they're not going to get rid of LeBron. So if you're not going to utilize Russ, get him off the goddamn roster. Only one of them needs to be there, Russ or LeBron, and obviously LeBron's better. So get him off the roster if you're not going to utilize him properly, because Russ still has good years left in him where he could perform at an all-star level. He can still average a triple-double. You know, for the bad season he had last year, he averaged like what, 17, 7 and 7, 17, 8 and 8, 18, 7 and 7 for having a horrible season. Most people would die for those numbers. And he did not lead the league in turnovers, and he did not lead the league in total turnovers or turnovers per game. But the media would have you believe that, because the players that do lead those categories never got the same type of venom that Russ was getting every day. Just saying. So anyway, there we go. That's balance actually, right? For the championship contenders, we have 2 from each conference. From the Eastern Conference, Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics. From the Western Conference, Clippers and Golden State Warriors. Our almost contenders, which are more or less, one piece away, whatever that piece may be, from being an actual championship contender. We have the Philadelphia 76ers, Dallas Mavericks, Denver Nuggets, Memphis Grizzlies, Miami Heat, and the Brooklyn Nets. Middle of the pack, Atlanta Hawks, Cleveland Cavaliers, Minnesota Timberwolves, Phoenix Suns, Charlotte Hornets, and the Chicago Bulls. Your play-in teams, generally your 7, 8, 9, 10 seeds: Raptors, Spurs, Utah, Portland, Knicks, New Orleans, Los Angeles Lakers. And our lotto teams, who I think are definitely going to be gunning for Victor Wembanyama, whatever his name is. Prodigy, French prodigy, guaranteed #1 draft pick next year. Washington Wizards, Detroit Pistons, Indiana Pacers, Sacramento Kings, Houston Rockets, OKC, and Orlando Magic are definitely going to be in the running for Victor. Actually, I hope the Magic get him, man. I want to see the Magic do good again. I used to hate the Magic growing up. Hate them. I grew up in Orlando area. Magic fanboys everywhere. But it's time to see this team be good again. Anyway, you guys let me know what you thought about this one. Do you agree or do you disagree with my logic and my standings? I think it's pretty solid. I'm sure some people may switch a couple teams here and there, but for the most part, I think this is pretty solid and unbiased. Hey, listen, I'm a Laker fan, and I got them as a playing team because I'm honest with myself. Yeah. Let me know what you think about it, and what changes would you make to my tier list here? All right. Appreciate you guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. We out, baby.